Sunday school, and good morning to all of you who have zoomed in to partake in this lesson. I count it an honor and a joy to share God's word with his people, and I pray that not only I get something out of it, you as well, and that you have a takeaway from this lesson that you can go and inspire others. There's a misnomer I need to make sure you need to understand that I'm a fifth stringer, so I'm not the first and the second string. Elder Pam had to find someone to fit in, so the subject matter experts are out in the audience, and I'll do the best I can to keep up with these intellectuals. Now, first thing, my name is Deacon James Collins, for those of you who don't know me that's zooming in. I am one who like to have interaction. I've always understood Sunday school or blast class to be a two-way conversation. So this won't be just one way. I want to get your take, what the Holy Spirit is giving you, so everybody will receive something that we could take away and do great works out there. It's going to be fun. Now, there is a lot that's been discussed over the past few weeks concerning Romans. And one thing I like for my class to do is take notes so you can remember some things, because I'm going to ask you some questions at the end. And also I want you to have a takeaway, as I said, that when you leave here, you just didn't listen to a Sunday school lesson and heard what Paul said. Because the same things that was happening then is happening now. So I want you to be able to deal with this situation and know how your life can be impacted. So Paul has been talking about a lot of things, and I'm not going to go back and do the whole briefing from chapter 1 up, but I want to kind of go back and talk about how Paul addressed higher powers on the last chapter, how he talked about loving one another as well. But now we get into this thing where we're talking about meat. And you wonder, why in the world has he done shifted from that and talking about some food and meat? Very interesting. You ever thought about that? Did anybody do their research? You know, I like you to read the chapter behind, the current chapter, and the chapter after, just so you can put all this stuff in perspective to see why we're having this conversation. Again, as Elder Pam said, Paul is not there in Rome. He's addressing this by a letter, and he's trying to answer everybody's question in a letter so they can understand before he gets there and talk about this Christianity move. Y'all agree? Yes. Okay, so here we go. And we all understand the culture of Rome, right? Sister Gibson, what the culture of Rome, what is that like?
The Romans were the power brokers, I guess, in that era, and they were kind of wild and crazy and doing whatever it was that they felt was necessary or for them. The handful of Jews that stayed there kind of fell into that and was kind of getting away from the stricter Jewish laws and practices. And they had been kicked out, then they were allowed to come back, but the ones that were there, like I said, were not really following, they were setting up the church, but it wasn't the foundational one that Paul was seeking.
I like that. You've been doing your homework, haven't you? Deacon Moore, what are your thoughts? What's Rome like? Man, I just want to visit Rome. I just got to get there and see how things are.
Like she said, they were the power brokers, so it's going to be more our way or the highway kind of deal. You're going to move the way that we tell you to move, and we don't want to follow all these rules. We don't want to go by the law. We want to do things the way we want to do it.
Did that happen today?
Yes.
I need to hear a miniature perspective from this thing. Rome. I want a subject matter expert. Mr. Carmen. What's Rome like?
So Rome is, how I would say it is more westernized.
Ooh, I'm liking that.
So the farther you come the further we go from the east to the west, you are less and less, I would say, Christianized or spiritual, because you're more, you're developing.
Oh.
They're a cultural center.
Yeah.
So they're incorporated still. They are, idol worshipers. And so they have all that. But they are more westernized in the sense of when I think of westernized as today, like more into man-made things, how man thinks things should be. So the philosophy and the culture and the arts.
Why is that?
It's central.
Yes.
And
And these guys were architects, and they were just a little, and when they saw all road leads to Rome, they actually had roads. So when you walked on dirt and you had your sandals, so when you got near Rome and you saw a road, you know where you were going.
That's what I'm saying. It was more, they were building infrastructure.
Yes. Yes. So now you're going to kind of get a feel for why all these issues. So I had a friend, we grew up in a community, Baptist, and went to Sunday school and all these things, right, in the church. And he got to Mississippi State and he majored in chemical engineering. And so now, you understand when you get in engineering, you study all these theories and theologies and all these kind of things. And then normally what happens is you get too much into that stuff, God goes out the window. You see? So when you get to Rome, all these things going on. You think you're strong, you got the word in you that deep, and Rome get there and influence you. You get caught up. Just like in today's society, we get caught up. You can't pray in the school, and so you get scared, and so you don't say nothing. You get to work and you can't do this and you can't do that, and so all of a sudden you find yourself one of them. Now, in my studies and in my research, Rome was kind of like this polytheistic had this polytheistic religion. That's one of my high school terms I learned in high school. And what that means is that they serve in their word, this is how it's supposed to be. This is what you're supposed to do. So Paul is addressing some stuff, actually, when it comes to meat now. The reason I'm going to address this thing about the meat because, they serve idols. And they had their meat go into the idol. So you know how it is. So the culture, you got to do this. It wasn't about the thing about you eat meat, you eat healthy, and meat ain't good for you. John got in that conversation with God before, right? Then he had a dream. God said, everything I made is good. Now, I became a vegetarian back in 1979. And at that time, they didn't have all these different names. I really was a vegan because I didn't eat no meat products, but it wasn't because of a religion or anything else. It was because I was doing some training for a run and I decided to eat healthy. And so I stopped eating all the stuff, all the meats and all the byproducts. And I used to do my exercise and I would do it all over again because I felt so healthy. So when I came home from West Virginia, I told my mom, I don't eat meat or eat any chicken, fish, no nothing. And so they thought something was wrong with me. And then they thought, well, okay, now, so what cult have you got into now that you don't eat meat? Because, boy, you grew up on this hog, this cow, this pig, these chickens and necks and tails, and all of a sudden now you can't eat my food. So it wasn't about that. But in Rome, they was doing these sacrifices, and when they sacrificed these idols and gods, some of them felt that, you could eat this meat. It was good because now it's pure and it's been sanctified and you're going to get blessed and all these kind of things. And then so because you had all these mix of people, as you would say, they didn't, they said, no, the word says you can't eat the hoof and you can't eat this, and people being converted from this to that. But one important thing about Rome, even though they were polytheistic, the Greeks came into their life and incorporated some more stuff. So you understand Greek gods, right? They became influenced by that. Who are some Greek gods? Y'all had this English stuff. Oh, man, who else? What was that lady named, that boy that she was so cute? And, oh, man, I remember studying her, boy, that was spot on. You know, but all these things came into play. And so now, if you are unchurched, as we get in today's society and people come to church and they look to you because you have studied the word and you're a subject matter expert, and you have to be mindful how you can influence people, right? You can influence people because of your knowledge. And you could, as people say, you could have so much word, you could be you earthly good, because now you have made them fearful to come to church. Because now people say, you know, I can't come because as soon as I get my life right, I'll come. That's only because these strong people in the word has started on them. They are so afraid to come and see who this Jesus is and how they can be saved. But let's kind of get into the word. I want to give you a backdrop so you can understand. So what did you understand of why Paul was talking about meat? Because it's really deeper than that. He had to discuss some things that they were familiar with in order to get his point across. What did you depict from that?
That you shouldn't judge people over food, particularly meat.
Okay. Now you still lean on this meat thing.
But we should prioritize well-being of weaker believers.
Now that's where I want to go. We're talking about meat. We're really talking about people. So what was that again now? It sounded pretty good.
I said we should particularly meat, and we should prioritize well-being of weaker believers, even if it means foregoing their own freedom.
Mm-hmm. Deacon Darrell, you was about to say something. I know you had a word. What you had?
My take was, and I speak from revolutionary, but also from personal experience, is that you don't want to put an enticement in front of one who would be susceptible to yield to it. And particularly related to in the area of addictions. And just a case in point as being long-term recovery. I walk into a gas station, the first thing I see is liquor bottles.
Mm-hmm.
If I stand there and look at a liquor bottle too long, I may get inclined, I can try it this one time. And I did that years ago with cigarettes. I had stopped smoking for about 2 years, and one day I decided I was going to try one cigarette. There's no such thing. In a week, I was back to 2 packs a day.
Mm-hmm.
So this neat thing to me was we don't put enticement in front of someone else that will put them in a situation where they had to make a decision between right and wrong.
I'm going to read this. I wasn't going to read because I like to just talk what I said. Him that is weak in the faith receive ye, but not too doubtful disputations. For one believeth that he may eat all things, another who is weak eateth herbs. Let not him eateth despise him that eateth not. Let not him which eateth not judge him eateth, for God has received him. What does that mean to you? So we're talking about this meat, and we're talking about this influence.
We should not judge others for what they may decide to do if they've been received by God.
Don't judge me in the level of my faith,
Okay.
because yours is stronger than mine and bigger than mine. Don't judge the little that I have and push me down or to the side because I'm not at your level yet.
How many of y'all have mentors? Deacon Drape, you got a mentor?
Yeah, I had one.
You had one.
Passed away.
Okay. You didn't get another one?
Eventually, probably.
Oh, you're looking for one. Okay. Mr. Carmen, you have a mentor?
I do.
You do. Deacon Moore, you got a mentor?
Sure do.
How many you got? I know you got 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, I gotta say.
Yeah, you got a few. Sister Gibson, you got a mentor?
No, I wouldn't. It's hard to. I have friends that hold me accountable.
Oh,
So I guess you.
you sidestepping me. Have a mentor? Sister Rape, you got a mentor? No? Why not? Why do you have a mentor, Minister Carmen?
So I have, well, I've had several, and so it just depends. Yeah.
So those of you who are looking for one, you should find one. You should find one. Now, and when you find one, that person will not be so overbearing in what they're trying to share with you. Mississippi State, I had a friend who didn't eat meat, but he said that it was not good for you, unhealthy, and he preached that word and he insisted that you go along with that. He met me, thought that was my reasoning. I said, no, that is not my reasoning. What you're saying is wrong. Sometimes we don't like to confront people and tell them they're wrong. We get quiet. We go in reserve, we pull back. And one of the things why when I teach, I ask people, did you read? You should never come to a class and haven't read so you can get a little bit more understanding of what's being discussed. It's like having a mentor. You understand subjects, but they can enlighten you more. Because God is the one that's going to give it all to you to make sure that you got this and you can share this, because there's a great commission he has for you to go out and do great things. So if you think you can get it on your own, you might be a little bit sadly mistaken, because you can't. This is one of the reasons why Jesus always, when people tried to drive doubt or in this word, he would say, as it is written. This is no secret, y'all. As it is written, bingo. So go check it out. Because number one, you already know. So go and incorporate what you have read and let that be your answer. So meat, Paul is addressing meat. Rome is a multicultural place where everybody believes in a lot of different things. And those who are headstrong are the ones that's going to convince you to change your way, because they're Jews who have been converted, right? And they've been converted to Judaism, so they believe in Christ. And so Paul is trying to get this place set up so when he does come, that the template has been set, and his teaching and the transition of getting people together in church or whatever will be much easier, that he can actually discuss Christ that they may believe. Any comments?
There was the whole debate about circumcision.
Yes.
Should you not, are you, that type of thing. So then they had a whole council that says that is not what makes you a child of God, whether you get circumcised or not. It's about being circumcised of the heart. And so now here they are in Rome, and they still have this mentality, but they're still causing division with the true knowledge of salvation for everybody.
Yes.
And so, like you said, everybody's in this area. You have Greeks, you have Romans, you have the newly converted Jews, and everybody's trying to put all their beliefs in one pot instead of looking at the true word of God and letting that be their guide. And so that's what Paul is trying to clean up, because we should not be condemning people
Right.
for what they believe in. You give them the truth, and then you have to decide how you're gonna, if you're gonna get in line. But I, as a believer, cannot condemn you for something. I can just present the truth and then let God do the rest. But they were trying to have all these rules and regulations alongside of the Christianity, which is what they were doing on the east side.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Because somebody going to try to convince you that their ways are right, right? All the time.
Religion.
Yeah. So Paul said, don't do that to them. Don't do that. Especially when, you got somebody to come to church to give their life to Christ and all these old processes and old ways of not doing things is not correct. Give them the word. Don't be so influential. Well, if you don't do it, just don't hang out with me. Don't come over to my house because, this is what we do. That's beautiful. Now, I want you to make a note that, because I want you to go back and look at some stuff, especially in 1 Corinthians chapter 8, where it talks about these idols. I want you to look at that. We won't get into details, but that's where all that stuff was happening, because Paul was talking about how they would make sacrifices, and then they would and after they sacrificed the meat, they thought they would go have a nice barbecue and put some sauce on it and have fun and talk. And that was when God was going to bless them, but that wasn't the case. So it talks about that there. Now, again, this meat thing wasn't about just meat. It was about the influence that you can have of a person if you are stronger in the word. So if you are a subject matter expert, just present the word.
So is it like that's what, I don't know, I use that's what like when people say spiritual bullying.
Yes. Oh, that's what it is. Well, if you don't go drop that $2,000 in church because I asked for it, you sure? It was a and when I first started teaching years ago, tithing was a real big issue. Now, where I come from, I'm going off script, but I want you to understand something. So when I was growing up, in Mississippi, a little rural area, my uncle was the lead deacon, and he Sunday morning he would go and take the Sunday school collections, and he would take your dues. And anybody come from that place? Mm-hmm. Okay, they would take your dues and they would take it back to the church and record it. So I didn't understand. Now, maybe I was too young. I was a teacher back when I was a teenager. I was a teacher, but I didn't study tithes. So I really didn't get into this hearing this tithe thing until I was about 20 or 21. Well, I gave $25 in church, man. That was a big day for me. Anniversaries, we dropping $25, man. I grew up on Halloween. Hey, I thought that was cool. That was a way of getting some extra candy that I can sneak to school and eat and all these kind of things. And it didn't hurt me from my belief. Now, I was very excited. Really, my heart was very excited when Pastor had mentioned that, we're going to tell these people we're celebrating Easter. I was really excited about that. Because like I said, you can get so much in the word that you can confuse yourself and other people. Mm-hmm. You got to get them in to teach them. We know that Sunday is Resurrection Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. Don't beat it over their heads because they don't understand what that is. It's just like I said, you get more participation in church with Mother's Day, Easter, and what now? Christmas, right. Mm-hmm. So, but you knew then if you get them in, you could tell them what it really meant. Same thing with Easter. Get them in and tell them what it means. Mm-hmm. Now that strong person gets it. Well, ain't no such thing as Easter. Mm-hmm. This isn't about up. Listen to all the stuff that people tell you. If you need to go read. What Ephesians 2:8-9 says what? I know I got some Bible scholars in here. Minister Carmen and Elder Pam, they, like I say, I'm a fifth stringer. They picked me up from the bottom so I could just get up here and make them look good. But I'm going to do the best I can, Brother Darrell. I'm just going to go. Ephesians 2:8-9 says what? What does it say there, Deacon Draper?
What do you want me to read?
Yes, please.
Ephesians 2:8-9 says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest anyone should boast.
No, that's not the one. What's the one say? Study yourself to be approved. What is that one?
Oh, isn't that in Timothy?
Timothy, yeah. Second Timothy? Second Timothy something.
2:15.
Yes, that's it. Find that one. Read that one. AI ain't gave you no answer yet, Deacon?
It's coming.
It's coming? I thought that was...
Study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking for. Study. Get a mentor. So then if, like Mr. Common said, depending on what you need, you can say, you know, Deacon, I read that and here's what I got. What did the Spirit give you on that? Can you help enlighten me some? That's what you want to do. These eating the meat and celebrating of days. Paul said that stuff is secondary to Christian living. It's secondary to what God is looking for us to do. It's secondary to sharing this word with people that they may be saved. Don't use those cliches to bring people into church and enhance their faith because they're going to be confused. It's already confusing enough when you are having to fight gloves because number one, they're going to try to convince you and you're going to try to convince them. There need not to be arguments about something. The Jehovah's Witnesses will come to your house and they'll tell you something. I receive them as well. I really do. Come on in. Now, I don't get into these debating conversations about them because number one, I want to know, how do you feel about what you believe? This is how I feel about what I believe. Show me what you're trying to share with me. I'll show you what I'm trying to share with you. Thank you for your word. I appreciate that. So I just don't slam a door on them. You know how some people out there, oh, I'm your witness. I'm closing the door. I give them credit about one thing. They do get out. They do get out and share what they believe.
I had a visitor when we were in Germany.
And
They were Jehovah's Witnesses.
yes,
She knocked on the door, and she had a book, a watchtower in her hand.
Yes.
And she goes, I'm a man. Went digging in her bag and found one in English.
see?
It reminds me of like when I'm listening. So this is like that philosophical mindset. So that's what they did. And that's what the Greeks did. They sat around and debated and philosophized.
Yeah, philosophized.
About things, about life. Who did this? And who, that was their nature. And so then they were bringing that into Christianity.
Yes, they do.
And so we're not supposed to just be sitting around. You can defend the gospel. I'm not going to debate it. I'm not going to argue with you. But I have to present it in love. And I'm not presenting the gospel to you in love. I'm trying to, like you said, beat it over your head or put down what you think. Like make you I'm not supposed to belittle you because of what you believe in trying to.
Denominational churches, interdenominational churches.
Ooh, interdenominational.
And non-denominational churches.
Oh, yes.
And when, Redeemer's House of Worship, was founded as a non-denominational church, people that came from interdenominational or denominational, backgrounds, that felt confusing initially for them because it was like, so then what are the rules? What is the structure?
Yes.
Really, what are the traditions?
Yes.
What are the what is the order and all of these things, because that's what denominations gave them. They
Say, I'm going to listen to this pastor, that pastor, because when I get the word to go, that's where the Lord wants me to go. And I sat there and observed. So this interdenominational thing was a new thing. And so, because like Elder Pam says, you got people who are disgruntled with churches over here, churches over there, Catholics, Methodists, and they're looking for a church home, right? So they bring all these different cultures into one place, and it gets very confusing. And the one who is strong-willed, believe in what they believed in for years and has learned it, will stronghold you. What do you call it? Christian bullying. Christian bullying you, spiritual bullying you to believe exactly what they believe or think. And so you can get caught up in that. And then you have these non-denominational things that, what is it that you believe? You should try to understand these things when you get involved. Just like when you go take a class, you try to understand it, and then you go back and reference that to something. Then if you don't understand, find a mentor. Man, what do you think about that? Don't get caught up in that you might end up believing this thing, and now that you're totally confused because now you have to go out and share this word with somebody else. What do you tell them? How do you tell them? Now, please go right ahead, because I want to talk about the judgment seat of Christ here, because I think that's important too.
So I was going to, like when you were saying get a mentor, and I think all that's fine, and you have to, I think you have to mature to that point, but you also want to make sure that you have the right mentor. But for me, my first mentor, like you said, you prayed and asked Lord to send you to a church.
Yeah.
So that's how I do when I read the word. Like I can read different.
And to go sit down. They just need to do what I just see it. And so I'm